But we are going to start with Major League Baseball. It is, after all, the heart of the playoffs, and what's a playoffs we have had thus far. Right now, you got the Yankees fighting for their life. They're up 2-0 in the third inning over Tampa Bay. Obviously a must-win for the Yankees. They're down 2-1 in this best-of-5 series. And New York is ablaze. I can tell you that. The fans are going crazy.
Oh, I
They've
know.
already essentially counted them out. You know, Rob, you're from
But that's just typical New York. You know how it is.
It's like it's over. Like
it's over. All right, that's no. You gotta lose 3 games. My God.
Right.
And Chris, the big thing is if they win tonight, Garrett Cole pitches Game 5. I mean, that's,
and there were conflicting reports, at least here. I don't know on the national level. Yeah, there was one person some reports saying they're not going to Cole. Other reports
tonight,
at least from one person, said that they were going to use him tonight if they have to.
Well, yeah.
Where are you at on that? I mean, if you have to survive,
you get in
a bind, right?
Yeah, if I need to get a couple of outs, I'm gonna put my best guy out there, Chris, if I have to, because you can't save a guy for tomorrow.
No, there could be no tomorrow.
There could be no tomorrow. I saw that happen with the Tigers and Cardinals in the World Series, and Kenny Rogers that year, Chris, was lights out in the playoffs. I think he was 3-0 and didn't give up an earned run. I mean, he was unbelievable. And Jim Leland, the manager for the Tigers, wanted to save him until they got back to Detroit because he pitched better at home. Guess what? They lost Game 5 in St. Louis. There was no more. So he didn't pitch.
Yep.
Like, you're on the brink of elimination.
Right.
You can't save anybody.
No,
if the Yankees are in trouble tonight and they need pitching help, you gotta use Garrett Cole to get to Game 5. You just have to.
Yep. No question about it. All right, well, there's a tomorrow for the Houston Astros. That's for darn sure. All right, they just eliminated Oakland 3-1 in the divisional round. Now they move on to the ALCS for the 4th straight year. And Rob, I mean, we were talking about the Yankees hitting the cover off the ball. Houston's been ridiculous.
And you got to remember, Chris.
In this series, in these 4 games, they have scored 33 runs in the 4 games.
Which is incredible when you look at their regular season was awful offensively, Chris. All their big guys struggled. Altuve looked like a shell of himself.
It looked like they needed garbage cans.
Right. And they needed stolen signs because they really did not hit that well. And remember, this is a team without Garrett Cole and without Justin Verlander.
Yep.
And they wind up right back in the ALCS. That's an incredible accomplishment. Bravo to Dusty Baker. Seriously.
All right, well, here's what I want to ask you then. If the Astros, well, they're already in the ALCS, so there's only one more round to the World Series.
To get to the right.
I'm just going to put it this way. I'm not even going to say them getting to the World Series or winning it. Just advancing consistently. They've won 2 rounds now. Yep. So the Astros advancing in the playoffs, we all know the deal. 2017, they, have proven that they cheated, with the trash cans and stealing signs and so on and so forth. And they essentially got off scot-free. I mean, we know there were some suspensions and fines and all that, but the players got no punishment. They got immunity for telling the truth. And I felt, Rob, and I still feel, they should have taken away the championship. That would have been a way of punishing the players, in a roundabout way, because you're no longer recognized as a champion. They didn't do it, of course, so they kept the championship. All of baseball, from everybody outside of Houston, fans to even surprisingly, Rob, players were upset. And obviously the Astros dodged a bullet with having no fans in the stands this year, so they really didn't get the harsh treatment that they would have gotten. But here's what I want to ask you. Does the Astros advancing in the playoffs help or hurt baseball?
I think most fans are going to say, and I'll say it as well, hurt from the punishment would have been that they cheated, they were uncovered, and then they didn't perform the way that they had the previous 3 years where they were Titans in baseball and won a championship in 2017, Chris, and have been to the World Series a couple of times, and people marveled at them. People wanted to copy what they did, right? You remember they stripped their team down to bare bones, and they
Marlins
drafted
just did
people.
it. Yep.
Yeah,
Just copied it.
right. Marlins just did it. They made the playoffs and got to the second round. But, yeah, so it is good from this standpoint, Chris, is that baseball has a villain team, like people to root against from that standpoint. But I think it would have been better for them not to be in the spotlight, not for them to be one of the 4 remaining teams left where the spotlight is on them.
They look like they got off with absolutely no punishment.
Basically, and they were able to keep it moving. And look, boom, they're right back where they were, and they went unscathed. And if fans would have roundly booed them all year, Chris, and it wasn't a COVID-19 kind of situation, maybe I would feel a little bit different, like they got dragged through the mud. But you got to admit, they got off pretty easy this year.
They did, but I'm going to say this, Rob. I think it's good for baseball that they keep advancing. I think one, as you said, and this isn't the main thing, but it is a factor. Like you said, it's a villain.
It's a villain, no doubt.
Right. And I think people will want to tune in to see them because they're the villain, but also just to see if they can do it without, the cheating, as they've maintained. They've said that. And the main reason, though, I think it's good for baseball, Rob, is because I do think in a lot of people's minds, certainly in the Astros' minds, if it's not already done, it will validate that 2017 championship. And I don't think that's right because they cheated. We know it, and they just shouldn't have gotten away with it. But to a lot of people, they will say, you know what? They were just that good. They were only caught cheating for 2017 when they won it, but they were really good the next 2 years without cheating as far as we know. Mm-hmm. And then this year, they're really good. So you look at it and say, you know what? And I think to a lot of people, Rob, it will make them say, okay, I kind of wish they had taken that title away. But you know what? They are a really good team. They're legit. So the championship, okay, they got a little advantage, but they're still worthy, in many people's eyes. I think people will take that approach. Some people.
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I understand what you're saying because it could validate them.
And it could help baseball look a little better. You know what I mean?
Right. Where before, had they totally fallen apart this year, Chris, and we saw the averages during the regular season, remember, they made the playoffs with a record under 500.
Right.
They were 29-31.
Yep.
So they didn't have this great year. They barely made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth, and now they're in the ALCS for the 4th year in a row. So now I still think it's bad. I think it would be better had they gotten their so-called punishment and just got knocked out or didn't make the playoffs, and it was
you think they should have put some type of suspension on them where they couldn't make the playoffs?
No, I mean, they could have tried to do something like that, but no, I think they just let it play out, let the players handle it themselves. The other problem we know with 60 games, people couldn't really come at them like they wanted to, Chris, because you couldn't afford to miss a week, right? With suspensions, you miss a week. That's a lot.
Well, what was it? I can't remember his name. Who got, 8 games?
Joe Kelly from the Dodgers. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? 8 games when you only play 60 is a lot. So I think that also curtailed like the punishment that the players could have doled out, against them.
See, I think, though, had they, let's say they were, 20-40 and didn't make the playoffs, I think then the scandal of 2017 would live on for who knows how long. I think them going deep this year, I mean, heck, if they get to the World Series or win it, and again, Rob, I was loud. Vacate the title. But I think in a lot of people's minds, this will enable people to move on more comfortably and not look back at 2017 as much as, man, that was a ruined year. It was terrible. Now, I don't think the other players will get over it. I think the other players will still be upset and all that. But I think many fans, especially casual fans, it'll allow them to be like, you know what? Whatever. I mean, they were a great team, period. And I think ultimately that's good for baseball because to a lot of people, it'll take away this feeling that one of your champions was a cheater. It was an
that's a legitimate point.
Cheater.
That's legitimate. I mean, that's legitimate. It's hard for me to argue against that because it would justify them and legitimize them. Whereas if they totally fell off the face of the earth this year, you'd say that was all smoke and mirrors, and they're not that good. And Altuve shouldn't have been the MVP, and he beat out Judge that year. You remember, and all that.
Yep. And you're probably thinking, well, they didn't get caught in 18 and 19, but they were probably doing something then.
Exactly.
So